Hello everyone, this is Algebra Made Simple. I'm your host Chris Morris. Thank you so much for joining me today on the video. We're launching this channel, and the purpose of this channel frankly is just to give some cool tips to make the complicated subject of algebra and those concepts appear more simple for students. And so it's also a great resource for parents. It's a great resource for children who are trying to learn these concepts, and maybe I can break things down in a way that's a little more simple and you'll have better success in the classroom. I also run a business called Morse Model Education, where I offer tutoring services and some teaching programs, and that's something that you can find out more about in the description. Message me if that's something of interest to you. But let's get into today's topic. Today's topic, we're talking about order of operations. This is one of the first topics that you're usually presented with at the beginning of a school year. Maybe it's, I don't know, early August or September, depending on where you are in the country, and you're presented with this idea. A lot of kids have heard this famous acronym. It's called Pemdas, or perhaps you've heard your middle school teacher say, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." You may have heard that a lot. I once had a student I taught, forgive me, but he used to say, "Punk evil monkeys die at sunset." Don't ask me why. The kid was an interesting guy. All right, punk evil monkeys die at sunset. Whatever acronym you have learned, it stands for, you should know it, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. That's what it stands for. This is the order by which we solve basically expressions that have operations such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, and it's sometimes complicated to know when to do what. So I want to show you guys some examples of some ways that kids usually get confused on this topic, and hopefully this will help bring some insight to you. So maybe I'll just bring my face in here slightly and you can look at this. Okay, so here's just a little page I pulled up with some common order of operations types questions that have been a cause of confusion for guys, right? If you look over here to my left, or excuse me, maybe the right, I can't remember how it shows on screen. Here's our little acronym, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. You would think that simply following the order of operations is going to give you success every time. You would think that. However, there's something that you need to understand. When you're really doing order of operations, while parentheses and exponents are clear cut, you know, the multiplying and dividing, I'm going to do a little circle around that if you don't mind, they can go either way. And so that is confusing. Some kids always think, well, multiplying comes before division, right? Pemdas. Well, not actually. It could be either multiplication or division. The same thing is true with the addition or subtraction piece. You would think addition has to come first before you subtraction. I mean, after all, that's the order of operations. But we're going to learn today and cover how that actually is not the case. Multiplying and division can go in any order. Addition and subtraction can come in any order. So we're going to talk about how to make the decision about when to do what. And it's basically a matter of reading left to right. Okay, if you read a book, if you like to read, or even if you don't, at times you're going to be forced to read in school, right? And they're going to make you read it, at least in America, left to right. And so that's how we make our decisions in the math classroom. Let's look at number one as an example. I'll try to see if I can get rid of, maybe I'll change the color to a red. Okay, so if you look at this one, you see all kinds of operations happening. You got 7 minus, and you got division, you got multiplication. If we went in normal order of operations, we'd say, okay, well, look for parentheses. Well, I don't see any parentheses on here. So sometimes that's cool. You don't have parentheses. You just move on to the next operation. E stands for exponents. I also don't see any exponents. I mean, none of these really have exponents, right? So we just keep going in order. And then you see multiplication comes next. You would logically think that, okay, to start doing this, I need to start with 8 times 4 because that is multiplication, and multiplication is coming next in order. Wrongo. It actually is division. What, Chris? What? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So the reason it's division is because I said multiplication or division can either one can come first. The way I knew that was I read left to right. See, as I start with this problem, it says 7 minus 24 divided by 8. It doesn't say times 8. It says divided by 8. So left to right, division in this particular problem came first. So I'm going to do that part first. So I'm going to go ahead and circle this. As I kind of work through here, I'm going to look at that and say, okay, that's 24. That's 24 divided by 8. And so that's going to be actually 3. And then I can bring down the parts that I haven't really used yet. Forgive me, I'm trying to draw on the screen. Maybe I'll come up with a way in future videos to do this a little maybe a little more professionally where you don't have to see my horrible handwriting, but that's as good as I can got. That's as good as I got. Okay, I did that division piece. And now the order of operations says multiplication or division. You're going to do one of those two first. So now that we've done the division piece, now we can do that 3 times the 4 there, right? And we can go ahead and turn that into 12, because 3 times 4 is 12, of course. And so I just kind of whittle this thing down, 7 minus 12, and then I'm going to do plus 6, right? And so at this point, here we go with the addition or subtraction element, right? So you would think, oh, addition has to come first, Chris, because obviously that's the order of operations. No, it depends on left to right what appears first. So since you have 7 minus 12 occurring if you go left to right in this problem, then add 6. So we're going to do it in that order. 7 minus 12 is going to be a negative 5, and a negative 5 plus 6 is the last set we have. So this comes out to equaling 1, you see. Comes out to equaling 1. All right, let's move on to number 2. Hopefully you caught my thinking there. Number 2 is a little different because, of course, it has these grouping symbols we call parentheses. Now, that is pretty much clear, cut, and dry. If you see parentheses, people, you've got to do the numbers, the operations that happen in the parentheses first, okay? So I see 17 minus 6 divided by 12. Now, look, inside the parentheses here, we have to concentrate because the order of operations clearly says P, start with that. But inside the parentheses, you also have order to take into account. That says 17 minus 6 divided by 12. Well, on the order of operations chart, division comes before addition or subtraction, so we still have to hold true to that rule. 6 divided by 2 is actually 3, so this is going to be 17 minus 3 in parentheses. And then you can kind of go on from there. So I'm going to just go ahead and do it in my head. 17 minus 3, we know that that's really 14. Okay, so this is kind of how I attack a problem like this. Then I'm just going to bring down the part that I haven't really dealt with, that being the plus 4 and also the times 3 happening, right? Order of operations then clearly says multiplying or dividing always occurs before we add or subtract. So I'm going to do the 4 times 3 next because that's multiplication. That's really equal to 12, you see. And we'll bring down the 4 plus that we haven't really dealt with yet. And of course, this answer comes out to positive 16. You will get another answer if you go out of order. So order is very important. It's kind of like, in fact, I'll tell you something real fast before I do any more. It's kind of like in life how order is important. I'll use a very simple analogy I think I saw on Math Antics, another great YouTube video for mathematics. He said, hey, wouldn't it be kind of silly if you're getting ready for school in the morning, for example, and you got to get dressed, and before you put your before you put your socks on, you put your shoes on first, right? And then you try to put your socks on. I'm going to get out this stinky sock just to make my point, okay? This thing is supposed to go on your foot first. Sorry for the graphic illustration there, but it's supposed to go on your foot first. You don't put your tennis shoe on, then try to stick the sock on top of the end of your shoe. It looks very silly. So in order for you to function right mathematically, the same principle applies. Hopefully you're with me on that, okay? And I just realized my face has been in the way through most of this, so let me just get rid of that, okay? So number 3, you kind of see another example as well. It's a little more challenging, but you can not be confused by it because you have those order of operations. Go into your parentheses first, right? You can look at either one. It doesn't matter. I like to go left to right as a principle, so that's what I choose to do. Notice in this one, we have the multiplication occurring before division this time if you read left to right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 1 times 4 is really 4. And then I'm going to do the division. It says 2 divided by 2 here. Well, that's really 1. So I'm going to do subtract 1, you see. And I can bring down what's left there. So this is kind of how I make sense of this type of a problem. Once I do, and I'll go ahead and do the same thing here, plus, and in parentheses, that's just adding or subtracting. So we're going to go left to right. 6 plus 2 is 8, and 8 take away 3 is 5. So here we are. Now, in case you haven't been taught this before, anytime we see a number directly to the left of parentheses, that is understood to be a multiplication situation. I don't know if your teachers taught you that, but that is so true. 4 minus 1 is really 3. So this is saying negative 2 times 3, which is a negative 6. And then I'm going to add 5 to that negative 6 for a total of negative 1. All right, so take a look at that. You got 3 different problems, 3 different exercises where the order of operations you might think would be one thing, but in reality, it's not always that case. You have to go left to right when it comes to multiplying or dividing. And the same thing is true when you're getting to addition or subtraction. They're not necessarily going to be in that order of please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. They could be please excuse dear my Aunt Sally. They could be please excuse my dear Sally Aunt. You know what I mean? The A and the S and the M and the D, they change depending on left to right what comes first, and that is a cause of confusion for many students. So anyway, this is Algebra Made Simple. Hopefully I helped take that complicated problem, that conundrum people are having, and I hopefully was able to break it down and make it a little more simple for you, thinking left to right when it comes to those two little categories. And just let me know what you guys think in the comment. Was this helpful? Is this helping you? Are you going over order of operations? Is this something that's been a stuck point for you in the past? I hope to make that a little more clear for you. If you want to get tutoring for your child, or you want to check us out, the Facebook page where you can message me, and the email where you can message me to maybe set up that, or at least have a free strategy session, is included in the description. I love you guys. Have a blessed day. Good luck in the math classroom. You can do this. We can help. I'll catch you next time.